So the number one question I get asked when someone comes for a golf lesson is that they want to be more consistent. And within that, we have to dial down whether that's contact or direction. And nearly always it's direction. Occasionally there's a few golfers that need more consistency in the contact, but realistically it's direction. So I want to share with you kind of a bit of a mad philosophy, which is kind of how we go through max range movements. And when we move to a max range movement, it means we're going to pretty much be very predictable about doing it every single time. Hence how we become more consistent. So there's two things for me in the golf swing that we can do to the max range without really a lot of poor consequences. So those two things are what I want to share with you today. The first thing is wrist flexion, which is basically your wrist bowing or moving this way. So if I said to you, trying to feel at the top of your swing and trying to transition that wrist would bow to the max amount it possibly could, that won't do you a lot of harm. If we bow our wrist to the extreme amounts, it's going to shallow the club too much and it's going to close the face a touch too much. Now, if we get the club face more closed in the downswing, the chances are then we're going to rotate more through the golf ball and hold it off more, subconsciously and naturally, or we'll hit shots that will go left, strong left. Now, most golfers could do with hitting the ball stronger and left compared to what they currently do, which is why this again feeds into it being really non-detrimental to most golfers. Also, when you try and put your hand into what I call max range flexion, from my 30 years experience, most golfers can't do it that much. But the whole point about the premise of this video is trying to put that wrist into that max range position means you're going to be more predictable at doing it the same amount every single time. Rather than trying to find a perfect position, we're trying to find the max range for you. So DJ, for example, has this wrist at what we call -40 at the top of the swing. I did a video some time ago where I tried to hit golf balls from that -40 position, and it was really hard to get there. And if I try and put my hand into max range position, I get somewhere around about 0 at the top. And in transition, I'll go slightly into the minus figures, maybe say -10, and at impact, I'm like -15. Just to be accurate on the T's and C's, Dustin Johnson has a weak left hand grip, which helps him with this supination, make sure the ball doesn't go left. Again, good players tend to hit the ball left, whereas us mortals, you, me, we want to hit the ball probably more right to left as a rule. Nearly every club golfer I would test doesn't get anywhere near as much as I can. So we can be really adventurous in trying to get this max range position. So what I'd suggest you do is take your left hand only, go to the top, and then try and feel you bow that wrist as much as you can. So rotate this wrist and continue to rotate that as much as you can in the downswing and hold it in that position as much as you can so we get lots of wrist flexion at contact. Now in doing that, we are closing the face. If we keep the flexion on through impact, we are opening the face but de-lofting it. Again, those things are kind of dreamy for most golfers. We get the club de-lofted, we hit it further, we get stronger, we get more shaft lean, we get more ball on turf or the low point later. Those things are all good. The second thing we're going to work on is more about how we rotate the lead arm through the ball, which again helps close the face. So if we get the shaft lean look, that may open the face, but if we get the lead arm doing what I want to do, we close the face. We end up with a pretty square club face of contact, but a really strong club face of contact, de-lofted. Again, to give you an idea, I've got a 7-iron here, and most tour pros would launch a 7-iron about 16, 17 degrees. Most amateurs I see are 20 degrees plus. And I test every single person on TrackMan, and most of them have the launch too high. So in decreasing this launch angle, again, is a no-brainer for 99% of golfers out there. So when we're looking at consistent golf, do things that make us consistent, do things that make us predictable is what we're after. Again, when I try and get my wrist down to max range position, it will never get anywhere near Dustin Johnsons. So I can do this with quite a lot of confidence and freedom, and that would be the practice swings. Bow it as much as possible, bow it as much as possible, bow it as much as possible. I will get nowhere near there in the real shot, but trying to get that max range position makes me more consistent. And that shot there, absolutely ripped. Tiny draw. I would love that flight if I had that all the time. And again, trying to get this max range position, if it made me just hit that shot every single time, I would be a bit stupid not to do it. Let's get to max range number 2. So max range position number 2 is about this lead arm, and this is something that Bryson Dechambeau tries to do in his golf. And we're going to try and basically supinate this arm to the max amount. And there's only so much this arm can supinate. That's my palm completely up. That's the most I can supinate. Now, as long as I've got a normal grip, if I supinate that arm loads, I will just rotate the shaft, rotate that club head to release it the right amount. If anything, I might close the face a fraction too much. But as we've already talked about, if I've got the flexion at contact I want and that shaft lean happening to a high amount, that potentially can open the club face. If we keep connection and rotate this arm, that stops that club face being open, which is what this is about. So what I'd like you to do is do one-handed swings. Feel that this joint here points up to the sky and this elbow points down as much as you can. In fact, take your hand and put it under this elbow and give it a hand rotating. That's how much we want it to feel it rotates. We want the hand to be fairly flat at this stage, then it would extend up, but the arm's still going to feel like it rotates as much as it possibly can. If you want to make sure you've got connection, take your thumb, put it on your pec and put your finger in your bicep, make a swing and feel that max range rotation. That is what we're trying to do. So we're trying to flex the wrist as much as we can in the top of the backswing, and then we're trying to rotate the lead arm as much as we can in the finish, in the post-impact area. Those two things are going to give us predictability on the club face, and also with the flexion it helps then shallow that club so we get the correct path and arc of the club. So we're really working hard on the club face and the arc, the two things that will give us consistent distance. Also, by getting more shaft lean, we're going to get the low point after the ball to give us better contact. As I said, albeit this is a little bit like saying, right, you have to do this, but we're not sure how much you can do as an individual, so there is some variability there compared to other golfers. But you just trying to be the max range version of you will make you more consistent. And these are two safe things to work in the max range. If we give you other things, we might not be safe. Again, with the lead hand, we could feel trail hand instead, but really the lead arm is where you've got to feel it in terms of this supination. Let's give a shot a go, trying again, flex and supinate as much as I can. I slightly mishit that one, but definitely felt I tried to get that supination happening in the swing. Good contact there, nice crispy divot just after the ball, and it felt like I was only doing deliberate movements. Again, what I like about it is I've got no other swing thoughts. I'm not going on the course and thinking of swing thought 1, swing thought 2, swing thought 3. We have one lot of swing thoughts that try and give us predictability in our ball flight, and these things should lead us to straight shots or even a tiny draw, which most golfers that I would meet would love to have.